Hi, this is Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of December 31st, 2012, and One Dog in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We'll also be discussing Mercury and Venus moving into Capricorn and the Capricorn new moon. December 31st is one Ak, or dog, which carries the themes of loyalty, playfulness, sensuality, teamwork, protection, generosity, warm-heartedness, guidance, commitment, justice, fidelity, consistency, family and friends, and the faithful guardian and companion during times of darkness. William and Viola of ZolkinCalendar.com write that the Yucatec Maya name for this sign literally means door or portal or gateway, and symbolizes the journey that we all make from one world into another, not only in death, but also as we transform inwardly and rebirth ourselves. Thus, dog, as our underworld companion and guide through the darkness, represents faith and loyalty surviving even after death. And I actually found that dogs seem to be associated with afterlife across cultures where the dead were buried. And I think this might be because they were scavengers who would dig up the graves and then consume the corpse that they were considered to be ingesting the soul as well as the flesh of the dead. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the afterlife in ancient Greece, was also portrayed as a black dog. The Greeks and Romans associated Anubis with the star Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky, and known by most mythologies throughout the world as the dog star. Cerberus is a three-headed dog who guards the gates of Hades, allowing people to enter but not to leave. The three heads of Cerberus represent the past, the present, and the future, or youth, adulthood, and old age. And in Irish mythology, references to dogs were numerous, which means they were an important symbol to the Celts. The dogs were also magical and could heal people by licking their wounds. In Norse mythology, the world of the dead was overseen by a monstrous dog named Garm. And then we have in Hinduism and Buddhism, there are two dogs with four eyes each, which accompany Yama, the Lord of the Dead. And they serve Yama by looking for those who are about to die. In Aztec mythology, the departed soul descends to the underworld after death and comes to a river that's guarded by a yellow dog. Guardian hounds occur widely in shamanic and otherworldly lore. And archaeological evidence and mythology has reoccurring examples of dogs in the role of psychopomps or as guides on the path to assist humans in their descent into the darkness and the underworld. So this dog Trecena, a 13-day period, would be a great time to use faith and courage to illuminate any dark areas in our lives and share our warm-hearted guidance to assist others through the door that leads to the light. Astrologically, the One Dog Tzolkin begins with Jupiter retrograde, and it's the only planet that currently is retrograde or appearing to move backwards from our vantage point here on Earth. And since this is the beginning of a new Gregorian year, I thought I'd provide an astrological and numerological overview of 2013. The digits 2013, when added together, tell us that this coming year is a 6 year, which given that the yearly cycles move in a 9-year pattern, we have moved past the halfway point of 2012 in our current cycle that began in 2008. And that would mean that we can now see new situations that will be played out as we move towards the 9 year of 2016. 6 in the tarot is the lover card, and Venus is associated with the number 6 in astrology. So both of which place relationships in the spotlight for 2013. 6 also brings an emphasis on health and healing through analyzing and organizing our home and work environments. When looking at 2013 from an astrological point of view, one of the themes that rises up to the surface is water, water, and more water. As the year begins and throughout 2013, we have Saturn in the watery sign of Scorpio, Neptune in its planet of rulership, in the sign of its rulership, the watery sign of Pisces, and then we have Jupiter entering into the third water sign in June, which forms a very favorable grand trine in July. And all the different Mercury retrogrades for 2013 will be only in the water signs. And then even Chinese astrology, we're moving from the flamboyant energy of 2012's water dragon into the more practical and grounded energy of 2013's water snake. So we'll have the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Chiron, and Neptune in Pisces between February 26th and March 11th. And water is about the emotions on a personal level, but on a global level, this points to an increase in flooding, storms, even tidal waves under the influence of this much water. We could also see a rise or increase in the battles regarding water rights. We could have new discoveries related to deep sea exploration, both in new species discovered and new information revealed about the damaging effects caused by offshore drilling and spills. All of these will remind us that we live on a watery planet. And on a personal level, there may even be a greater possibility of folks feeling like they may be just drowning in their emotion. Water also implies that something is hidden beneath the waves. And one of the undercurrents that will be most powerful and will continue to as a challenging to us is the square that will exist between Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn, which will be exact on May 21st at 11 degrees and November 1st at 9 degrees. These challenging angles between Uranus, the planet of disruption, revolution, and unexpected change, in Aries, the sign of the individual, challenging Pluto, the planet of death and destruction, but also rebirth, in the sign of Capricorn, which is representing structures, including governments and corporations, is the most powerful transit of our time. And these two titans have exact confrontations an amazing 7 times between 2012 and 2015. Usually this type of transit occurs 3 or 5 times. 7 times is unusual and very, very intense. The world will be a very, very different place by the end of 2015. The year begins with Mercury and Venus in Capricorn merging with Pluto and being challenged by Uranus, which along with Mars conflicting with Saturn could yield a very difficult January. Mars square Saturn is known for its cruelty, and all the Capricorn energy grounds that harshness in reality. It seems that there are going to be many issues and scenarios that need only a spark to build up, a spark to detonate this buildup of real explosive energy, which also seems appropriate because January is when we're going to be finishing up the Chinese Year of the Water Dragon, which will impart its drama before we move into the Year of the Water Snake at the end of January and into February. The energy shifts mid-February to mid-March as we have a stellium, or a whole group of planets in Pisces, including the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Chiron, and Neptune, which includes Mercury spending 9 weeks in Pisces due to its retrograde cycle at that time. And this will be a time period with strong spiritual undercurrents and otherworldly realizations, but it also brings great confusion. look for the world and personal events that are going to be involving water at the time. This is a time for completions, as Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. Mars and the Sun and Venus then move from watery Pisces into fiery Aries around the time of the equinox and into April, where they merge with Uranus and are challenged by Pluto, which brings another period of upheaval and transformation. And with Saturn and Pluto working as a team to bring out karmic judgment in March, we're really going to be reaping what we've sown during this time period, and then again in September. When personal planets move into Taurus in late April and into May, we have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, followed by a solar eclipse in Taurus, followed by the third exact square of Uranus and Pluto, the other two being in 2012. The themes of revolution, transformation, tension between the material and spiritual worlds, along with death and rebirth, are particularly potent at this time. And then in June, we have the solstice, and the majority of planets returning to water, activating a grand trine from Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Jupiter, and Mars as they all move through Cancer, connecting with Saturn and Scorpio and Neptune and Pisces during June and July. And this is a very, very positive transit, as these planets are between 4 and 5 degrees of Cancer. But then later on, the same planets approach 10 degrees of Cancer, where they oppose Pluto and are challenged by Uranus, which continues this wave of transformation as it receives another series of pulses to these planetary alignments. Mercury is retrograde during this period, spending 10 weeks in the sign of Cancer, and so this will be a time of reviewing our homes and families with the perspective of security. And then a second grand trine at this time in Earth appears on July 29, which is a point of interest for many because the planets form a hexagram with the water trine. But this is really going to be short because it involves the Moon and Venus along with Pluto. So the impact really isn't going to last more than a day. So when people are out looking at that particular chart, it's a very temporary chart that's getting some circulation right now. The intensity really peaks around the end of July as Mars brings even more instability to the Uranus-Pluto square, pushing us to follow our own authentic paths rather than submitting to the machinery of governments and corporations. And then by August, Jupiter enters into the T-square with Uranus and Pluto, which expands our efforts regarding our true purpose and the security of our homes and families against the forces of tyranny. When Venus moves into Libra, it creates a grand cross with its opposition to Uranus and Jupiter's opposition to Pluto, and then all of those at a 90 degree of each other. This is in late August. And I don't know how many other ways I can say this, but this is really the energy of this year is transform or be destroyed, you know. September is a little more grounded as the Sun and other planets enter into Virgo. And at this time of harvest, we'll get a little bit of a break until the equinox, and then the third mutual reception between Saturn and Pluto when the karmic harvest comes into its final installment. In October, we see the Sun in Libra opposing Uranus and squaring Pluto, which returns us to the turbulence after having a reprieve in September. And then finishing out October and into November, the Sun and Mercury return to the water in the form of Scorpio and conjunct Saturn, forming a trine with Jupiter in Cancer and Neptune in Pisces, and along with the Uranus, Pluto making another direct square on the 1st of November. All this keeps echoing this theme of the authentic individual, being an authentic individual and focusing on spiritual growth while the material world is transformed through revolution and the collapse of oppressive structures. And this is also at the time of the Scorpio solar eclipse. What's happening is the material world is becoming destabilized. So it's really important to support your local providers and have a strong spiritual foundation. And December also brings a fair amount of chaos as Venus is retrograde in Capricorn and Mars moves into Libra, opposing Uranus and again making a 90-degree angle to Pluto. So at this point, I'm hoping that we're all really aware of our value as individuals and can share our gifts as we flow with this rapid, unexpected changes of our journey on the whitewater rafting trip of 2013. So anyway, let's look at the daily vibrational energy of this Trecena. December 31st is One Dog, which is about unity experienced through spending time with family and friends. And at that point, we have Mercury, moving into Capricorn. Actually, let's just move it right there. There we go. Into Capricorn, which adds momentum as planets begin to cluster in the sign of business, government, industry, and finance, where Pluto has been focused in breaking down all those systems since 2008. While Mars is now in Aquarius, and it is harmonizing with Uranus in Aries, which means that they're making a 60-degree angle, which is called a sextile, which creates a mutual reception relationship as the planets are in each other's ruling sign. They come together to work as a team and bring a strong drive for change, an interest in different sexual experiences, and the potential for surprising acts of violence. With the Leo moon finding support from Venus, which is pleasant for enjoyment of being with friends and enjoying good food and drink, but being careful not to overindulge. After all, that will be New Year's Eve. And then January 1st, 2013, this is Two Monkey, duality experience through creating new beginnings. What a nice way to start a new year. As Mercury harmonizes with Neptune. So again, from the perspective here on Earth, we're seeing a 60-degree angle, which is called a sextile. And this is very positive for stimulating the imagination, but it also brings a greater sensitivity to more subtle energies and psychic informations. Well, the Virgo moon is opposed by Neptune and is supported by Mercury, which we experience as an emotional awareness that may not be completely accurate, with people feeling the drive to express their moods. So, the first, we may be picking up information that we think is true, and it's just best to sit on it and see if you're more clear about it after this day has passed. And then January 2nd is Three Road. This is about taking action to serve your community, with the moon in Virgo challenged by Jupiter, being supported by Pluto and the sun, and in a harmony with Saturn. The day begins with generous and benevolent feelings, and then later shifts to more intensified emotions and the desire to be alone, and then finally just feeling harmony within ourselves and in our relationships with people of the opposite sex. And then the third is Four Read. This is about stability through the home and family, as Mercury in Capricorn is challenged by Uranus in Aries. So this, from our perspective, is a 90-degree angle with a square. And this is a real stressful alignment that really pits traditional thinking, Capricorn, against rebellious new views, being Uranus and Aries. And since the outer planets tend to have more power. I believe that any real rigid conservative ideas will be attacked and transformed or released to make way for more innovative concepts. This could be a time of increased protest with the potential for recklessness and violence. With the moon being challenged by Venus, which is pleasant, especially for getting to know people. Then we have on January 4th, it's 5 Jaguar. This is empowerment through being in nature. And we have Mars in a trine, which is from our perspective, Earth. This forms a 120-degree angle to Jupiter, which this is very supportive. This has real high energy for physical activities and the growth of consciousness and knowledge. And while this is happening, we have the last quarter moon in Libra opposing Uranus, being challenged by Mercury, Pluto, and the Sun, and finding support from Jupiter and Mars. The day begins with impulsive and emotionally excitable energy, and then shifts to people being critical in their communications. And then later there's a sense of ease and well-being and the ability to assert ourselves positively. And then it shifts to having more compulsive behaviors, and then finally feeling challenged just to, be in daily mundane interactions. The 5th is 6 Eagle. This is about flow through seeing from a higher perspective, with the moon harmonizing with Venus, which is pleasant for being with people we love and entertaining in the home. And then on January 6th, we have 7 Wisdom, reflection through introspection and meditation and forgiveness, as Mercury moves around in its orbit so that it's directly in line with Pluto. So we look at this, it's called conjunct, but we consider it to be a merging of these two energies. And when Mercury is in that position, it's also harmonizing with Saturn in Scorpio, meaning there's from our perspective, there's a 60-degree angle, a sextile, which really intensifies mental activity and has a real penetrating quality to communications, along with having a critical eye for what needs to change in our environment. And on that day, we've got the Scorpio moon finding support from Neptune and being challenged by Mars and stimulated by Pluto and Mercury and merging with Saturn. The day begins with an awareness of our innermost fantasies, and then later it shifts to the possibility of needless disputes due to irritability and deep emotions coming to the surface, an increase in social interactions while wanting to keep our innermost feelings to ourselves. So it's a complicated day. The 7th is 8 Earth. This is about balance experienced through gratitude for Mother Earth, while Mars is being challenged by Saturn. So we've got Mars here, and challenge means this is a 90-degree angle from our perspective at Earth. This is a square. Mars challenged by Saturn. This is an alignment that's really known for cruelty. And Mars being in Aquarius, this kind of how this is going to manifest could really be unpredictable or surprising, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is a planet of the unexpected, so there could be some real cruel, unexpected, surprising information or events at that time. As the moon in Scorpio is in harmony with the Capricorn sun, it brings feelings of equilibrium between our inner and outer worlds. January 8th is 9 Flint. This is patience through reflection and introspection, as now Venus moves into Capricorn. When Venus moves into Capricorn, this brings more caution and carefulness to love relationships and social interactions, while adding yet another planet to this building stellum, this building group of planets that are all in Capricorn. Uh, and while that's all building, we have the moon's in Sagittarius. It's challenged by Neptune, supported by Uranus, opposed by Jupiter, stimulated by Mars. The day begins with daydreams and fantasies being more important than reality. And then later it's craving excitement, then generous interactions with others, and then finally having a desire to work independently from others. And then the ninth, this is 10 storm. This is called about manifestation through recognizing the gifts in adversity. And the moon in Sagittarius is void of course, which means it makes no aspects until it changes sign, moving into the next sign the following day. During that day, the 9th, that's a good day to take some downtime to integrate all these various energies and experiences that have found our way into our lives. And then on January 10th, it's 11 Sun. This is about resolution through honoring the wisdom of our ancestors. And on that day, we have Venus here in Capricorn in harmony with Neptune in Pisces. This really inspires creative and romantic imagination, with the Capricorn moon in harmony with Neptune and Saturn, and merging with Venus and Pluto, and challenged by Uranus. The day begins with daydreams and gregarious, cheerful feelings, and then it shifts for the potential to have hasty actions and people jump into conclusions, and then finally having intense emotional experiences and wanting to be alone, and then finally just wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings. And with all these planets, and at this point we got the moon in there too, all in Capricorn, this is a time of experiencing karma, which isn't always pleasant. But we really benefit by taking responsibility. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, and to do what's right. And then the 11th is 12 Crocodile, understanding through nurturing new beginnings, as the Capricorn new moon. I love this again. We got a new moon on a Crocodile day, which is about new beginnings, merging with Mercury and the Sun, which brings us to the peak of this goatfish Capricorn energy, with the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto all in Capricorn, which brings focus on structure, maturity, commitment, and work. And new moons bring an opportunity to set an intention for manifestation on the coming full moon. So what you want to do is you want to look to the house of your astrology chart that contains 21 degrees of Capricorn to consider what area of your life is being activated by this new moon. And for me, this is my 8th house of transformation, death, and rebirth. So I'm going to set an intention related to using this energy to go into greater depths regarding my spiritual path. And with Mercury involved, these should be intentions that we wish to communicate with others. So we're already there. January 12th is 13 Wind, which is movement to the next stage through communication. And we have Venus being challenged by Uranus. So again, 90 degrees square. And this has folks seeking excitement in their love relationships. But, it's not always positive. This can include picking a fight just to experience some different way of interacting. And then we have, on that day, we have the Aquarius moon being stimulated by Uranus and supported by Jupiter and challenged by Saturn. The day moves from pleasant yet restless feelings to having a strong sense of well-being, and finally feeling lonely and out of touch with others. So anyway, no matter how all these energies are affecting you during this One Dog Tzolkin, take time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching the sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through being introspection or doing some meditation, or truly being present with somebody you love. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. Just, we're all here. We're given the performance of our lifetimes on this world stage. But what I think is truly the most important thing to keep in mind is that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. So take some time out to observe the play as the spiritual being, as well as act your part as the human having the experience. Anyway, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next care and feeding of a New World Age will be on January 13th, 2013 for one night, and we'll also discuss the sun moving into Aquarius. You can check us out on Facebook and YouTube and the Mind Magic's website, and I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation, and these readings are really designed to provide you the information you're going to need to help navigate these difficult times. At the very basic level, we look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your own individual strategy and authority in making decisions based on your own unique design. And then I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progress charts, along with the human design reading at the middle level. And then at the top level, the human design and astrological transit reading will be recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can download to your computer. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me, because I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or connect on Skype to receive your reading. And as always, I am blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh, and I look forward to connecting in 2013.